welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. You're listening to American Freedom Watch Radio. We are brought to you live by repatriatradio.com. Please visit our website, panhandlepatriots.com, repatriatradio.com, agenda21today.com, and americaismyname.org. Well, folks, this is Karen Schoen, and we have John Estabrooks on the line with us today. He's calling in from the rig out in the Gulf of Mexico, and of course, John knows that those with this election, and I cannot call it a win. I will call it a steal, because as far as I'm concerned, from everything that I've been reading, I don't see how this was a real election. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I want to know, what are your points, and what do you think we're going to be facing with our energy permittatorium? Because according to everything that our president is saying, we're going to have a new energy policy. So what do you think, John?
Well, I think his new energy policy will be more of the same that he's carried forward in his first term. There's nothing in what the regulations that are coming out, Karen, and we're going to get over 400 new regulations here in the first few months of his last 4 years in office, and we're going to see the impact. But the immediate impact, people in our industry are praying, Karen, because what we do know is that the policies that are already in place and the regulations that we do know are coming forward are going to close and completely embattled coal industry. The coal industry is fighting for its life in America, and coal-fired producing electric plants. So I know for a fact that the energy cost to every American consumer, especially people impacted, will be the eastern seaboard that supported Barack Obama. And they will be impacted with a rate increase on their energies that we've never witnessed in our lifetimes. The next thing, Karen, is the loss of those coal jobs. This is all going to bring about the loss of jobs, and that's very serious.
I know, and when I was flipping channels today, as I often do, I had the opportunity to listen to a psychologist, and she was telling everyone how there is a real disease of depression over this election. So I thought, since there's so much free money floating around, all of us conservatives who are so depressed, we should file for disability. I think we should file for depression medicine. I think we should file for psychological help.
But then, Karen, the absolute reality would set in. Once you've spent other people's money till they're broke, everyone will be broke. And that's the reality that is coming to America.
You know something, John? Maybe that would actually be a good thing. I was thinking of this the other day also. Republicans are in a lose-lose situation because they refuse to tell the truth. I mean, that's the bottom line. You're going to see now all of these senators saying how we have to have this comprehensive immigration plan, and how we have to talk about comprehensive immigration because we have to bring in the Hispanics. No, that's not the idea. The Hispanics wanted to be told the truth and not a bunch of lies on Telemundo. And in reality, Hispanics are very conservative. The problem is they have been lied to. And they're not interested into seeing their workforce diluted any more than anybody else is. So we're all going to be suffering from this, quote, compromise. I think that the Republicans should just sit back and say, okay, Barack, this is your economic plan. Do it. Go for it. Put in tax everybody. Give everybody free stuff. And then when everything crashes and burns, because it's going to crash and burn no matter what, the only people that will be able to look in the mirror is going to be the Democrats, because the Republicans have given them everything they want. So rather than fighting about it and getting depressed and having to go and get depression medicine, I think we should just say, here, you want it? Do it.
I'm taken back by the pundits. Number one, they must not realize the principles that are at play on our side, on the conservative side, because we had 3 million estimated conservative voters that either voted Libertarian or did not vote at all because the Republican Party failed to run a true conservative candidate. It was nothing, yes, there was the Hispanics, the blacks turned out and they supported Barack Obama, but still not in the same numbers that they did in the last election. Hispanics, yes, but his base turned out, but it didn't turn out as strong as it did in the last election. The fact of the matter is that conservatives either stayed at home or they voted with their principles and they chose Gary Johnson. And so, until the Republicans quit the lie, that we do not want to be middle moderates. I don't accept that. I am one of the 50% of Americans who believe in the principles of my founding fathers, that less government is the best thing for me and my family and for my prosperity. If I'm going to prosper, I don't need government mandating and regulating everything in my life. Now, the ideology that won, even though you and I and many Americans are becoming very aware the election was stolen, and in many places, voter fraud took place. 100% of the vote in some counties, 100% of the vote for one candidate. Karen, it's a farce. But
it sure is.
And I cautioned people well in advance, because I have said, and I will repeat it again, we have a Marxist in the White House. There has never been a Marxist defeated in an election, in a fair election. So there you go. So that's all we got to evidence.
That's the whole thing. There is no truth. The only truth is coming out of the mouths of some of the conservatives. There is absolutely no truth. The Republicans wouldn't know truth if it hit them in the head. So they're going to be running around blaming everybody except, like I told the head of the RPOF in Florida, go look in the mirror, because you're the one who created this monster, and unless you start telling the truth, it's not going to make any difference. I asked Karen Bracken, are you with us today? Karen? I had asked Karen Bracken to join us. She was in Pennsylvania and actually watched, or was with someone who actually saw that when people were voting for Romney, the election was going over and moving right into Obama. So there is no way. This is my fear, though, John, and this is something that I'm thinking about this, and I haven't stopped thinking about this continually. This election was a fraud. You can't have precincts reporting, as you just mentioned, at 150% of registration. You can't have 100%. It is absolutely impossible that 100% or 99% of the vote goes to one candidate and not another. It is impossible. It does not compute. It does not make sense. There is no way that can happen. If we don't say something, shame on us. We will never again have an election in America that is meaningful. There is no way to ever do this, because there will never, if we accept this without putting up a fight, without doing something, without holding our secretaries of state accountable. I had a very disheartening conversation with the people in the state of Florida. I don't think they understand the way, I shouldn't say I don't think, they do not understand the way the Constitution works. We really, the people, did not vote for the president. We voted for the electors in our state, who will then on December 15th go to their election and vote and elect president, the presidential candidate. We did not vote. We voted for a choice, but the choice was really a direction for our electors to go and vote. We have time to hold those electors accountable. We have time to go back to those precincts and to make sure that those votes are true. And if we do not do that, shame on us, because then we will have nothing, and we might as well do what I said, which is, here, take it, you got it, you won it, you own it, it's yours. Because there isn't any other voice. We're going to be shut out of everything. They refuse to tell the truth. We're going to be told, what we're saying does not make sense. We're going to be told that we're hurting people, things like that. I mean, it's enough. It is absolutely enough. My skin has gotten so thick, I don't care what people call me anymore, the names. It doesn't make any difference, folks. If we can't tell the truth, we don't have a country left. And I'm beginning to see more and more of that than everything else. And I'm beginning to realize that is what has happened. We have accepted lie after lie after lie after lie without calling people out and saying, when will you tell the truth? And unless we start doing that, we are going to be a nation that is going to be built on lies, which is what has happened.
Yes, I'm afraid so, Karen, and it's sad to say. There are people that are attempting action, whether or not we will see anyone listen to us, because we have been ignored. Everything that we have done through legal channels has been tossed to the wayside by a Department of Justice who's involved in the lie. And that's the sad thing. The very people that we have to go to and ask and express our concerns, express our grievances to, are the very people that are complicit in the lie. And that's my big concern, and that's my fears. No, there won't be anything done, but it won't be because we haven't and are not. Across the nation, people are demanding that we going to the Secretary of State. I think in every state that I've seen, there are inquiries underway. Whether it will bear fruit, I have my doubts. But I don't have the doubt that we, the people, we will be heard. The act of some states now to start the process of having a conversation about seceding from the Union is frightening. The last time that those conversations took place, we had a civil war. I'm not a warmonger. I don't propose war. But there comes a breaking point in every good person to where when you recognize tyranny being carried out on your person, on your life, you will stand and defend your principles. And that's what we have to do as conservatives. We cannot allow the Republican Party to represent us any longer. They have lied to me personally, and I'm speaking just for myself. I will not take one more lie from the Republican Party. I denounce the Republican Party as representing me as a conservative. We have a choice.
You are absolutely right, and I think we have a guest on the guest line. Is that... I heard a beep, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Laura, this is Laura.
Hi, Laura. Laura
Hi.
Pressley, meet John Estabrooks. This is Dr. Laura Pressley. I'm sorry, Laura. And we've been talking, Laura, about lies. And Laura has uncovered a major lie, which I feel that is so important. If we expose one lie at a time, then that's our job. We may not be able to tackle every single issue on an ongoing basis, on a continual basis. But if we expose one lie at a time, and those people can wrap their arms around that lie and then move forward, then at least we have the basis of something. So Laura has been involved in the fluoride industry for a long, long time, And Laura, thank you so much for joining us today. And can you give us some of your background and let everybody know what you have been up against as you've been fighting the fluoride battle?
You bet. Thanks for having me. I'm Dr. Laura Pressley. I have a Ph.D. in chemistry from the University of Texas at Austin, and I live in Austin, Texas. I've lived in Texas all my life. I'm absolutely a Texas girl. My father we had a dairy, and my father was a cattle auctioneer at the stockyard. So I grew up with people telling the truth. And any of those of you that are out there that grew up in the in the cattle industry or farming industry, we had to tell the truth, and because your livelihood depended on it. And it really just is so foreign to me, these lies that we're being told back and forth, and with regard to the politics, with regard to our government. This is a big lie, the fluoridation lie. And the good news about fluoridation is that we can take back our power on this, and we have absolute control over what goes into our body. Fluoridation started in the 1950s, late 40s and 50s, when a bunch of research was done right after the Second World War, and there was some initial data that showed that fluoride changed the surface of the tooth to make it harder. And so the sugar industry was lobbying, and they wanted something to prevent people from eating cavities so they could sell more sugar to everybody. And this is really the bottom line of how this thing got started. The sugar lobby money went into this thing, spreading the information that fluoridation created a harder surface on your tooth, and so cavities were reduced. And so, the mechanism of fluoridation, the fluoride plus the calcium in your teeth, it makes a very hard and sometimes brittle matrix of calcium fluoride. And in some cases, there's a sweet spot that, yes, the tooth becomes harder, but if you go over the concentration, or people have sensitivities that are different from one person to the next, and it'll make your teeth brittle, and it'll cause more damage, and that's called fluorosis. And everybody has seen people with yellow teeth, kind of brown stains, pitted teeth, the bright white staining that happens to teeth. That's all fluorosis in different degrees of it. So, we spent the 50s, 60s, and 70s spreading this lie that fluoride ingested into your stomach somehow caused your teeth to be better, especially for babies and children, when that doesn't make any sense at all. And actually, research has shown over the last 20 years the mechanism of fluoridation is topical. It's not ingestion. And we have people here in Austin that always say, "Would you drink your sunscreen?" It doesn't make any sense. So why are we drinking this fluoride when it's really supposed to be a topical surface mechanism? So that's a little bit of the background. And, like I said, it started in the 40s and the 50s, and it proliferated to major U.S. cities. Now the end game and the end result is we put this hydrofluorosilicic acid, a big chemical name, into our water supply. It's not pharmaceutical grade sodium fluoride. It is a chemical that has a lot of impurities in it, and that goes into our water supply, and we drink it. It's really shocking if you just step back and look.
Well, like you said in the beginning, the good news of fluoride, and that's kind of, I guess, where John and I have been going, is that if you learn the truth, you have the ability to work within your local community, and you have the ability to reach out and talk to your neighbors. And that's one of the things that conservatives rarely do, because they don't like to take that, it's my idea, and I don't want to impose my ideas on you. So I'm going to give you 1,000 reasons, and I'm going to hope you select and make the right choice. The liberals, on the other hand, say, this is what you're going to do, period. And the people have no choice. And when you begin to realize that, you realize that some of the things and some of the strategies that conservatives use will never work. Because when you're working with a group of people that have already lost their concept of choice, it's impossible for them to be able to make a choice. So what we have to do is within our local groups get a hold of Dr. Laura Pressley's information, get a hold of fluoride information, do some research on it, work with the schools, work with what would you suggest? Because I think working in the local communities is the easiest place to start.
You bring up a great point, Karen, and the best place to start, it really is with the data, with the current research that has been done on fluoridation in the last 10 to 15 years, and this is where the rubber meets the road. And this is how we approach this. We recommend to different communities approach it this way. Go look at the health studies. And I'm going to give you a list of health issues that fluoridation now has been found to cause. The biggest one is the fluorosis, which is the white, brown pitting of the teeth. And just imagine that's the outside, I guess, manifestation of this fluorosis. Imagine what your bones look like, because your bones are the same material as your teeth. And, you know, if you have fluorosis, you also have osteosclerosis. You have bone issues. Now, there's been a lot of research that's been done. If you look at communities that fluoridate and those that don't, bone cancer in boys in the teenage years, early years 7 to 14, have a 6 to 7 increase in bone cancer. Okay, that fluoride attacks the calcium in your bones and it makes it not grow the way it was intended to grow. Bone cancer is an issue. It causes calcification of your pineal gland. So then your cognitive function, your intuition, your logic is impaired. Thyroid issues, hypothyroidism. Hypothyroidism is low thyroid function. Fluoride will be absorbed by your thyroid instead of absorbing iodine, which is what it wants to absorb. But if you give it a lot of fluoride, which is electronically very similar in structure and reactivity to iodine, your thyroid will uptake the fluoride and not work correctly. So hypothyroidism, you have hair loss associated with that. There is cognitive issues with that also because that's your metabolism. You have obesity, you have sleeplessness, all these issues with your thyroid. Also, there's been documented
May I stop you here for a minute? Okay.
Pardon?
I want that to sink into everybody because this is a real important point. One of the things that is created for those of us who have studied Agenda 21 is that people must be dumbed down. And we have been looking at the schools and saying, this is how they're doing it. This is how they're doing it. They're doing it in the schools. Well, the schools are only one avenue, folks. They are doing the dumbing down, and that is the destruction of the logic, reason, critical thinking process. And it comes out in different drugs as well. Suppression types of drugs will create this type of individual.
Yes.
And when you, I guess what it is if you start in one thing and then you enhance it with something else and you enhance it with something else and you continue to enhance that methodology through a different bunch of mechanisms, the way they feel is, as long as the ends justify the means and they get dumb people, they don't care how they get there. So a lot of the things that we talk about are all tied together. And school is one avenue. Fluoride is another avenue. There are a lot of different avenues where the results will be the same, and they will exponentially increase if you do multiple things that will give the same results. So I'm glad you said that, because this is a really, really important thing for people to understand. Because what happens when you take away one of those things? Well, you begin to kind of like wake up out of a sleep.
That is you are exactly right. You know, and what goes along with what you just said, Karen, is there have been over 30 international studies that has shown that IQ in children is reduced when they're on fluoride, when they're drinking fluoride,
wow, when
they've been brought up with fluoride. And, you know, this is the dumbing down of our children, of our population. And, you know, I'll tell you another thing. Prozac is over 30% fluoride as its active ingredient.
Wow.
Okay? It makes you numb. It zones you out. You're not as, you don't have the strong opinions, you know. And we have a joke here in Austin that if you're not upset about fluoride, then it's working on you. That's what they want to do, you know. And we also have, you know, it's true. If you're not upset, the fluoride is doing its job, and you're just kind of going along with everything. So those are some of the health issues. Arthritis is a big issue with fluoride because, again, it attacks your bones, it attacks your nerves. This stuff is really, really bad. And
now, you know, there's another thing, the studies of Obamacare. Think about this one, folks. You've been taking fluoride forever. You've been using fluoride forever. You've been dumbed down in school forever. You've been taking other things that are slowly and decreasing your bodily functions as well as your brain function. And now you have Obamacare, which has put a threshold of 70 years old as a threshold that says, well, after 70, you're useless. After 70, we can withhold care. That's what is in Obamacare. After 70, we're going to have a panel of people determine whether or not your life should improve and increase. We're going to have a panel of people who are going to determine whether or not you deserve or to die. And Glenn Beck had a great commercial which has been going around with a bunch of older people who are saying, I lived a good life and I have to leave my life to my children. No, your experience is what they need, not your death. Your death it will eliminate all of your experience, which is the goal. So fluoride is a brain inhibitor of logic, reason, critical thinking, plus it destroys your bones as well as your teeth. And this one is, as Laura said, is an easy one to fix.
Okay, that was exactly where I wanted to head. How do we fix this, Dr. Laura?
Okay, great question. So, you know, you can look on the big scale and say we need to lobby I'll tell you everything. The city council controls all the fluoridation in our country. Every city council, that's the body that makes the choices. And they either decide to put it in and they can decide to take it out. So you can, on a bigger scale, go talk with your city council members, show them the data, and see how they respond. In some cases, they respond very well. Wichita, Kansas just removed fluoride from their water. Their city council responded to these dentists. Dentists come out and say, you know, oh, we need this for the poor children. We need this for our teeth, you know, because people don't brush their teeth. Well, you know what? We're not the third world country. You know, the United States is not that. People do brush their teeth. And this causes more harm than good. And the dentists in this country will not let it go. And the city council in Wichita, Kansas, held them accountable, said, no, you know, this is, okay, maybe there's some benefit when the fluoride swishes by your teeth, but we should not be swallowing it. So city councils are the primary place from a big picture standpoint to get it out of the water. If that doesn't work...
I would be curious to find out. Here's another thing. When you start talking to the dentist guys, go back and take a look at what drug companies are making huge contributions, what dental companies, what dentist associations, where are they getting their money from? Because that's really the root of everything. Why are they pushing fluoride? Because somewhere up the food chain somebody's getting paid. And if you can expose that and show that as a reason, then it will assist you in your data approach. Where would be a good place for them to go and look up the data?
That's a good question. We have several places. We have fluoridefreeaustin.com. That is a good website here in Austin. Also, Fluoride Alert. That is a large national clearinghouse of all this data, all this information, and the FluorideActionNetwork.org. Now, from the standpoint of your city council, if that doesn't work, and it has not worked in Austin because our Austin City Council is very corrupt and in the back pocket of the CDC, who promotes this thing, and also back pocket of the American Dental Association. So what you can do on a personal level, we take back our power. We should take back our personal power with regard to what we put in our body. You can get fluoride-free water two ways. One is use reverse osmosis. Whenever you buy bottled water, or if you want to put a filter or a purification process in your home, the process of reverse osmosis, that gets about 90% of the fluoride out of the water. It doesn't get 100%. That's the best process to do it. And when you see these bottled waters that are purified, that can mean two things, either distilled or they're reverse osmosis, and both those processes get out the majority of the fluoride in the water that they start with. So that is how we take back our power. We recommend that people use reverse osmosis. You can go to a grocery store, and they'll have some have a reverse osmosis process, and you can bring your jugs, and it's like 30 cents a gallon. It's very inexpensive. And just make sure when you buy a bottled water that you're picking something that says purified or it says distilled. Now, all these spring waters, I want to kind of talk a little bit about that. 99% of the natural spring waters that are out there have fluoride in them. I'll give you some names. Fiji has fluoride. Ozarka has fluoride. These spring waters filter through the ground, and they pick up the mineral calcium fluoride, and it's in the water. So just be cautious of spring waters. I stopped ingesting fluoride about 3 years ago. I was having a lot of thyroid issues. I was having allergy issues, cognitive issues. I couldn't remember data that I would take, at my job. And so I just made the decision, I'm going to stop fluoride. So I stopped drinking tap water, and my health improved dramatically. And the other thing, natural organic foods do not use these commercial pesticides. The conventionally grown fruits and vegetables, they use sodium fluoride as a pesticide. So you're getting fluoride from conventionally grown fruits and vegetables. So choose organic. So those are some of the things we can do. We can take back our power and avoid this really hazardous compound that we put into our body that attacks all these organs.
That brings up a whole bunch of things, folks. A lot of what we are experiencing, and people say, where's the leader, who's the leader? We have to be our own leaders, and we have to create our own fence around our own family. And if we do the right things, that will filter through to our family, our children, and eventually our neighbors. And taking back the power, this reminds me now of what Dr. Martin Luther King used to say all the time. I will not comply. I will not comply. I will not do that. You can't make me do that. I am not going to do that. And that's really what we have to do. I mean, nothing sticks out more in my head than what has just happened between this election, which was a scam, being shoved with a health care bill that nobody read but people signed, being underneath a disastrous financial Dodd-Frank bill that nobody read but people signed, and now they are expecting us to live under those mechanisms. That's wrong. And the only way it's going to stop is when we, the people, make it stop. And the only way it's going to stop and be made to stop is if we, the people, say, I will not comply. I will not do that. And fluoride is a perfect example. Stop buying toothpaste that has fluoride. Buy something else. I'm sure there must be millions of different kinds of toothpaste that are on the market that don't use fluoride. Don't use water that uses fluoride. If you want your children to be safe and secure and have a fighting chance aside from taking them out of school, which is high on my priority list, and giving them a real education, you have to do the other things too, because remember, these people want your brain, and your brain has a whole bunch of different components in it. So it's not just the education piece. It's the food you eat, it's what you drink, it's what you do, it's your health, all of those things. I mean, I'm sure, Dr. Laura, that what with the autism, with all of the disease, with all of the cancer, why it's going up instead of not going down, has to come from what we're eating and what we're doing.
That is, Karen, you just hit the nail on the head. We're being attacked in so many ways, our air, our food, and our water. And, you know, what I did was when I was so incredibly ill with just everything, I converted to organic food. I started drinking water that didn't have any fluoride in it at all. And my health improved. And I'll tell you one thing, I haven't been to a Western medicine doctor in about 3 years because I don't do it anymore. All the advice they would give, the medications, the drugs, I don't do that anymore. And we have that personal power to step back. And yes, we're gonna have to change our behavior. We're gonna have to change what we buy at the store. And maybe it's a little more expensive, but I'll tell you what, it is more important for us to be healthy and do the right things in the front end than go down the path, like you just said, of cancer, of autism, of, you know, illness, chronic and long-term and short-term illness that we can avoid by eating clean food and drinking clean water. And our water is the absolute most important, because I'll tell you what, we drink a lot more fluids than we eat food. Everybody worries about organic food. Where is our organic, chemical-free water? That is the absolute most important thing. It's the absolute most important thing. And you know what? I had been so sick, and I was looking for really pure water. I did a lot of research. I'm a chemist, so I'm very, very picky and look at a lot of data. I started my own company, and because I couldn't find an affordable, very clean, chemical-free water, and I spent 17 years in the semiconductor industry with contamination of computer chips, and so that had that background. And so I started my company, Pure Rain, and we bottle purified rainwater. We capture in Oregon. I'm actually in Oregon right now. I'm not in Texas, but we capture our rain in Oregon, and we bottle it. We purify it with reverse osmosis, and we purify it, and we filter, and we use ozonation instead of chlorine. And so it is the ultra-pure water. It's the most pure water on the market. We're in Whole Foods. We're in natural food stores. And but what's interesting is that rainwater is the only real source of water that doesn't have fluoride. If you want 100% fluoride-free water, you have to capture rain. You can filter it at your house, and you can drink it, and you can wash your hair. You can, when we were children, I used to wash my hair with rainwater, and it was just wonderful. And so,
something. Think about, John, what Laura just said, and think about what they're trying to regulate. What are they trying to do? What are the signs that they're telling people that they cannot do? They cannot capture rainwater. They're fining people for capturing rainwater, and they're telling people that they can't drink rainwater. That you could only use it on your lawn. You can't use it in your house. Why are they doing that? Because if you filtered rainwater, you have, as Dr. Laura said, the best source of fluoride, chemical-free water available. So, again, we have to go back and look at the lies and look at what we're being told, turn them around, learn the truth, and then use them. And you know what? When you start doing that, and then you say to your neighbor, who maybe you were sick like Laura was, Maybe something happened in your family, like it happened in Laura's family. Maybe one of your family members had a problem. And all of a sudden you change a behavioral pattern, or you change something that you've been doing, or a product that you... It gives you the ability to talk to your neighbor across the street. It gives you the ability to have that conversation. And then it becomes a non-confrontational conversation. It becomes a people-to-people conversation. And remember, those are the things that they don't like us to have. So we have to go back and revisit a lot of the things that the Marxists try to do because they want to control everything, and revisit them and bring them back into our own control. It's not just controlling our country, it's controlling our person. Because the right to pursue happiness was not just owning land. The right to pursue happiness meant that what you have, what you own, is yours, and the government does not have a right to tell you what to do with it. And that includes your body as well. And, you know, you also, I remember when I met you the first time, you had a problem with the smart meters.
Oh, Karen, absolutely, and I am still struggling with that one. But I want to go back to something you said that was so powerful, Karen. People-to-people conversations. When you said that, I got chills across my body, because that is our power. We have so much that we can share with each other, messages, our experience, and that is not what this government wants. It wants to isolate us, wants us to think we don't know what we're doing. You know, that we should not go back to the older generational solutions, which I think are absolutely critical. And I just get chills when you said that, because that's the answer. And, you know, my husband and I have a motto: repair is the wave of the future. You know, I won't get a new washer or dryer, you know, because it has all these smart chips in it. No, thank you. You know, we need to go backwards a little bit, and we're going to be a lot healthier. Yes.
Well, you know, and one of the things that, and I'm going to tell you, and some people don't pick up on this part of my logic, I think that we are destined for an economic collapse. I feel like that it is being designed, and where I think that it will drive us ultimately is back. You know, and will it harm us to take a step back if we do it in the proper context? If we go back to the more traditional values, whole foods, there are so many things that we would benefit from. And those are the things now that when I say that this administration is over-regulating and creating 400 additional regulations in the next 6 months, monitor what they want to regulate. Your ability to grow your own natural foods, your ability to capture rainwater, all of the things. This is an attack on our very person. This is the human being, every American in this nation. Your body is being attacked. And if we don't get that, if we don't understand that, this is more than just about the land and the dirt that we live on. It's what they are doing and what they hope to do to us and to our children. Our children are being intentionally dumbed down. Evidence, proof is all around us. We see it everywhere. We have screamed about it for decades. You know, why is education not improving? Now, fluoride comes to light. And what did you say the year was, Dr. Laura, in the 50s?
Yes, late 40s, after the Second World War.
All of this.
Well, and see, it's not ironic that so many of the things and the policies that we see that have destroyed the America that the greatest generation fought and saved for us, and think about it from the 50s forward, all of the things that we've lost, all of the things that they infringe upon, and the regulations that they've put on industry, the regulations that they've put on you as a human. It is astounding, but it's by design. My hope, my logic is during the collapse, you're not going to listen to a guy from government.
No, you're not. You're absolutely right. And think about that. Who are the people that they're trying to get rid of? the people who were the children of the 40s and 50s, the people who could still manufacture something, the people who knew what a sewing machine was, the people who knew how to grind something and put it together, because there were no apps for anything. There wasn't an app for that. If you wanted to go get something, you had to go out and get it. If you didn't get it, you created it. And what have they done? They've taken away all of the creating tools, and they've given you the app for that so that they can control you. And if we go back and take a step back, I mean, I was thinking of this while you guys were talking. What is it that they're saying now after this election? Go shopping. Now think about that. Go shopping. Go to these stores. Why do they want you to go shopping and go to these stores? What did these stores and what did these big chains and what did these big establishments just finish doing? Well, they gave huge donations to political parties. How are they going to replenish those huge donations? With our money, because they're going to drive us to the stores to replenish their funding. Well, you know what? We need to stop. Don't go shopping. Don't do that. Make a craft. Make something this Christmas. Make it a different kind of Christmas. Make it a family outing. Go someplace with your family. Talk to your family. Make something together. Make it a different kind of Christmas. Make it an original American Christmas. Here's a thing. How about a Christmas where every single thing in Christmas has to be made by somebody in the family? Not in a box, not bought from a store. It has to be made. Do something different. Show your kids what it means to make something, because that's what's lost. We buy everything. We buy our politicians, and they in turn are buying us. And we have to stop that and go back into our neighborhoods, go back to our people, and become people. You know, I just got an email because we had spoke about secession, John. Somebody said, what good is it? It's a White House website, and the people are saying they want to secede. It's not going to go anyplace. Well, you know what? It is, because it's making an impression, and we're talking about it. And that's what making an impression and talking about it means.
Karen, you know, I shared that same thinking, and I understand that because I traced back where are these petitions going, what's going to go forward. Yes, it will. The White House will have to address it. They can't leave it go. If the 25,000 signatures are given, well, then they're going to have to address the question. And the bottom line is you know, secession, and folks really need to think about how hard that was and what that drove this nation to the last time that was accomplished. There are other ways, and we have elected officials that are our public servants that we can demand, united in demand what it is that we want, and we have powers of the 10th Amendment. We do not have to secede to exercise the 10th Amendment freedoms. Take the federal people into court. Tie them up. Tie their hands. Bind them with the justice system. That's the way our founders designed it. You know, we have great concerns about election fraud. Bind them in the courts. That's what they do to us. Whenever a civilian or a citizen steps forward and comes up with a great invention, and the corporate guys that are in bed with the politicians want to control that great invention, what do? They bind it up. They take it legal actions. They either purchase it outright if you're willing to sell, but if you don't, they'll never let it see the light of day by keeping you in patent courts. We have to use the system that we have. We have to be, number one, not divided. Stop allowing any divide. Stand as Americans. Karen, what's your website for the? And it slipped my mind. What is your American website? AmericaIsMyName.org, and the website for the petition is whitehouse.gov. We also have a petition in Florida, which I suggest that everyone. It doesn't matter where you live. It's about private property. Sign it.
Because it's not just Florida's private property, it's America's private property. It's our private property. It's your private property. Use that. I have to tell you, John, we had a huge success. County by county, I'm getting people calling me and saying, I can't believe I won the election in my county and I spent nothing. I just talked to people.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Excellent. This is what America
and that's
is
what
about.
has to happen.
And we've got to do that, and we can do that. And it's so important that we do that, because taking America back doesn't mean yes, we have to look at the big picture, but before you get to the big picture, you have to look at the little picture. And the little picture is starting in your family. And what can you do in your family? As Dr. Laura just told us, something really, really simple. Change the way you eat. Change the way you drink. Change your habits of what you're putting in your body. Make your body important. It's the only one you have, and if you're going to allow the government to get control of it, which is exactly what they want, well, when you get to the age of 70, you're going to have a panel deciding whether you're going to live or you're going to die. And that's really the bottom line.
And you won't understand the logic of it either.
That's right.
That was so, and I had never heard that about fluoride, but that's an enlightenment that really everyone needs to take away from this. When we lose our ability to use and they are fighting it tooth and nail. They despise logical thinkers. They do not want logical thinkers in this society. They are attempting to diminish us and do away with us and outlast us. But I have great hope, and that is our hope, is that we do everything in our power to restore logic to our children. That's a mission we have to be on.
Yes, and you know, we simply just have to say no and follow through. And I remember when I got off of fluoride, guys, I remember how cloudy my thinking was. And when I got off it took about 6 months, 4 to 6 months. I was off all my medications. I was off my thyroid, allergy medicine. I was off migraine medication. I haven't taken it since. And my brain started thinking much more clearly, and I had the courage to say no. And I say no now in a lot of ways. I was stopped by the police, and they wanted my for something in our neighborhood, and a question they had, and what is my birth date? No, I'm not giving you my birth date. No, I'm not going to that scanner at TSA. I say no now, and I have the courage to do it, but I didn't have it before because I was confused. I didn't understand my power, and this is our first step. You have to get clear in your head and control your food, control your water that goes into your precious body that can just heal itself if it just gets the patience and the space to do it, because it can't heal when it's being bombarded with pesticides, when it's being bombarded with GMOs, when it's being bombarded with fluoridated water. And don't believe what your dentist says. You know what's best. This stuff is dangerous, and you can make that discernment in your own head, in your own heart. So we have to step up and say no.
Dr. Laura, can you give everyone the website? Can you give everyone the websites again, and I will put them on Agenda 21 today, but if you could give them the 3 websites, this way people will be able to go and check it out.
Absolutely. It's fluoridefreeaustin.com, fluoridealert.org, and then our website for Pure Rain is purerainusa.com. And we have the best water in the world, period. And we recommend everybody get reverse osmosis systems in their home for their children. And on our website at purerainusa.com, we have a health page, and we refer people with filters. They're all U.S. made, and we have a lot of health information on our website.
Well, this is the best part was U.S. made. That really made me feel good. But you made mention before, and you said it may be a little more expensive. But as you were saying, the things that you were not doing and you were not experiencing anymore, and the drugs you were not having to take, and the ridiculous things that you were not eating, it really was not more expensive. So sometimes, what appears to be is not what it really is. And if it achieves the goal in the end, which is to make you healthier, so that you don't experience all of those horrible things that you think you would get, that you have been experiencing. I mean, imagine how many days people have gotten up with migraines, with arthritis, with all kinds of horrible things that have destroyed an entire day in your life. Imagine if you didn't have that.
Absolutely. And you know what? Today, in the last 3 years, I haven't even met my deductible on my health insurance. I don't even meet my deductible anymore because I'm not going to the doctor. If you just look at, there's no money. The pharmaceutical companies don't get money when we're healthy. So what they're pushing, the GMO foods, all the pesticides, all the conventional food, all the boxed food that has corn syrup and soy that's all genetically modified, get that stuff out of your diet, and you won't need the pharmaceutical industry, and you won't need the Western medicine industry that doesn't work. They don't do anything. I remember when I was so sick, I made the decision, I'm not going to go back to a doctor if he makes me sicker. I mean, how simple is that? And I just had to stop. I had to stop because they weren't doing it. I had to take control.
Yeah, let's share some logic about that, too, because I know that every single listener watches the television, and we all see these pharmaceutical ads for all the different types of medicine that they advertise on TV, and we hear all of the catastrophic stuff that can happen to you if you have a reaction to the stuff that they're peddling to you. How in the world can it be good for you if it can cause 20 other things to go? It is ludicrous that we're falling for it. Pharmaceutical companies are part of the problem.
Yes,
absolutely.
They are.
I agree.
They really are. Well, I would like to thank both of you for joining me today. Dr. Laura Pressley, please go and visit her website, which is Pure Rain. Her information is there. If you have any questions, she'll be happy to help you. I'd love to bring you back in the future because my next favorite topic is GMO foods, and that one is the real killer. And little by little, people are waking up to how disastrous that is and what that's doing to our health. But that's a whole other issue. And John, thank you so much. And folks, we will see you
again always, thank you,
next week. And please don't go to collect disability because you are depressed about the election. Or actually, maybe we should. Maybe we should follow Cloward and Piven, John, and overload the system. And
there you go.
What it feels like. I was thinking about that. I really think that's what our representatives should do. They should just say, "Oh, here, you want to go tax everybody? Go do it. Go right ahead. Overload the system." But folks, really, there are things that we can do. Stay home on Black Friday. No reason to go and spend your hard-earned dollars on giving more money to China and the people that hate us. Work with your family. That's more important. Thank you so much for all of you for joining me this week. This is Karen Schoen, your host at American Freedom Watch Radio. We are brought to you live on repatriateradio.com. Please visit our websites, agenda21today.com, panhandlepatriots.com, repatriatradio.com, and americaismyname.org. And we will be back again next week. Thank you all, and have a great week. And remember, get fluoride out of your diet. Take care.
But when you talk about destruction